Sometimes I sit back and wonder what it all means. What seems to be my greatest weakness, along with pride and self-esteem, cause I look too deep in what means nothing.
What do you guys think about like Twitter for this type of thing?
Well, I don't like Twitter. I don't have Twitter.
Me neither.
Like that, and I also think that a lot of people on Twitter, I feel like it's a very polarizing place. So you only get extremes on one end, and I don't think that that's actually representative of most people's opinions. You'll have extreme haters and extreme I love this, whereas most people aren't like that. And I don't think people should be dictating their artistic merit to Twitter outrage. I think honestly that's probably the problem that we have, like Kendra was saying. I think it's another problem that we're so focused on what people will say that you kind of have to check off all these like woke boxes so like Twitter won't destroy me. Because I know a lot of movies that to me aren't good at all, but were like highly praised and everyone liked it just because it filled the woke quota and like Twitter likes it. And you can see like the outrage with this Cuties movie. I haven't seen it.
I enjoyed it.
But I've read all of the arguments, and to me that's more fascinating than whatever this movie can offer. Like I'm more fascinated. Like you have all these people saying it's exploitative, it's child pornography. Then I have people that are like, no, this is a great movie, and the director's trying to expose that culture, and she's a black woman, and these people are just trying to tear her down because she's a black woman. I don't know. I haven't seen the shit, but like, but to me, it's just interesting in all these arguments. So I feel like arguing about things on Twitter, I think it sort of just obscures whatever the intent is. And so I don't think people should be listening to Twitter. Make what you make, say what you have to say, and if people don't like it, that's their problem. Like for me, I get everything Kendra was saying about critique, but I guess my point is like I critique when it's still in the incubation phase. Like people come to me with notes. You know, me and Kendra, we give each other notes all the time. Like I have another friend I give notes with, and I like to think that I'm honest. Like I don't sugarcoat people when it's in a script form.
You are.
So yeah, you can change it, but it's like when it's already done, shit is done. So what's the point of me saying anything? It's already done. It's already out there, and like somebody should have said something when it was still before it got out to the public.
But it affects what that person is considered for in the future. So say it's like a short film or something that's doing really well in festival, but it has a core issue in terms of the POV, and they're saying, wow, this is the next voice for Black people. You gotta kind of say it then, because next thing you know, they'll be directing bigger and bigger things. So yeah, I'm still kind of pro the public aspect of the dress, as long as it's done constructively with tact, like you guys said. Because like I said, people still do look at those things, even if it's not Twitter, some form of social media or group where people are able to get that information. And even with what you were saying, Kendra, just the importance of seeking feedback, and or for creators to have test groups to screen something just to see what people think, that's invaluable. So I don't really respect when someone feels like they're too big for that, or that they're above that, and that their way is the sole way, especially when they're going to say they're the voice for an entire community. But I think that there's value in, okay, even if they do it privately, having those small groups where they screen it, you know, give out some popcorn, say, okay, what do you guys think? Be honest. Maybe it's anonymous if these are people trying to enter the industry, like you said. But still, Jazz, I noticed you made a face when Twitter was mentioned. I know you feel a way towards that.
Well, I just feel like there's sort of spheres, especially in the incubation phase side, like that are looking at how it affects the white man's dollar. And the only way that they will make effective changes is if they feel like backlash is going to affect the white man's dollar. So I think that it's helpful when somebody makes something fucked up that people are like, we don't like this. like very loudly in a public sphere, like Twitter. I think Twitter is the most effective one, so that they change it. Like for Cuties, for example, like Netflix put that banner out, marketed the film entirely incorrectly, and then Twitter was like, oh no. And they were like, oh my God, so sorry, like our bad, we made a huge mistake.
It's already, like, I just read an article yesterday that Netflix cancellations went up 8 times because of this Cuties movie.
They'll come back.
I mean, I'm not canceling shit. I love Netflix. I work for Netflix. Shout out to Netflix.
That's right.
Put a little download Netflix graphic under your video clip.
But
subscribe button like right next to your head.
But the problem is, I feel like a lot of these outrage, like the people that are outraged from Cuties have never even seen this movie.
I know.
I feel like that's the problem with Twitter, is that it just fosters outrage. It's just sensationalism. Like, I was watching that Netflix documentary, Dilemma, last night, and it's really good. It's about how, like, social media is manipulating people. But it literally shows on Twitter that a false fake news story is, I think it was 8 times more likely to be shared than factual news.
Exactly.
This is a fact. And that's just because it's sensationalized. It's clickbait. We all see these articles with crazy ass headlines. That's going to encourage me to click more than the truth. So all this cutie stuff is going to get blown out of proportion, because that is what's going to get me to click. So I'm going to be angry and fucking like, you can't take Netflix and blah, blah, blah. And I've never even seen this. So how can I have an informed opinion? And so I think that's the problem, is that you have too many people on the internet talking about shit that they don't even know or understand, and just getting angry off seeing a 1-minute clip or like a headline and not actually reading the article. And then that has real life consequences. Like, so that's just what I'm worried about.
I was reading about Rotten Tomatoes recently too, and the way that the audience score is like this bedlam for people who have made something, and then people get angry and log on and just downrate the film, never having seen it, don't even know what it is, and the films have terrible audience scores because of it. And then on the other hand, the tomato meter, the official tomato meter, is like fake as hell. Like, that shit is bought and paid for, like 100% on like Rotten Tomatoes is straight bullshit. I will never believe it.
That's when I support your message, okay?
Like,
yes.
Like, I don't want anybody recommending a movie to me because it had 100% on Rotten Tomatoes. That is
I tested it for myself. Yes, you are absolutely right. And I'm like, are you serious?
The movies, there's like classic movies. I think someone said like The Godfather has like 80% or something, and like some trash movie is 100%.
Purchased. So it's like, the game is rigged, like how do we even effectively critique this art, because the game is rigged?
I think that I have a PR background. That's what I majored in. All news, all feedback is good, regardless. As long as you make a link clickable, as long as you make something a topic. My thing is, if you don't want something to get any kind of attention, don't talk about it at all. The moment you start talking about it, whether you're for it or against it, you are giving it attention, regardless. If you put out a thing and say, I hate cuties, guess what everybody's going to do? Go watch Cuties.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?